Hello, David Zritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. Who doesn't like a good mystery? And as I sit here in my studio, I'm about to discuss one of the more interesting and unique mysteries within the world of James Bond. That's not entirely accurate. It's more than just the world of James Bond. It's in the world of James Bond watches. Now, if you go back to Live and Let Die, which is one of my favorite Roger Moore Bond movies, you probably, when I talk about watches, certain images are conjured up. For example, the Rolex. I mean, Q gives Bond the buzzsaw and magnetic Rolex. And this is my Rolex. It's not the 5513, but it's the updated version of the no date. Absolutely love this watch. And one of the reasons, besides it going back to the Connery era, which I really love, is that Roger Moore wears it in Live and Let Die. And to everybody, that's kind of the watch, right? I mean, it's the one that attracts the spoon, turns red, it's got a buzz saw. I mean, it is the gadget watch of Live and Let Die, and you just remember it. The other watch that you think about, of course, is the Pulsar. Now with the Pulsar, that was sort of new technology, new LCD technology in the 1970s. So of course, this was going to be an interesting one. It was kind of a Bond's choice before Q outfitted him. And, it's a very, very famous scene where he checks the time. And they've even reissued this watch. So that's the second watch that everybody thinks about. But there's a problem. And the problem is nobody talks about the third watch that you see in Live and Let Die. What's that? You didn't know there was a third watch. Oh, yes. And it's not just in a tiny blink and you miss it moment. So go back, if you will, to probably two scenes that are seared into your memory. And that is the Mrs. Bleecker moment during the airport scene in Live and Let Die. And also go back to, I don't know, something small like the boat chase, which is one of the most incredible boat chases in not just James Bond cinematic history, but just all of cinematic history. And you will see, if you have eagle eyes and you listen to the dark detectives that have discovered this, another watch. There is another watch. And if you go even further down the investigation road, you find that there is promotional material that shows Roger Moore wearing a third watch. I know it's like the third shooter in the Kennedy assassination. There is a third James Bond watch, and nobody talks about it. So I wanted to give it a little bit of PR on here. Now I will give credit where credit's due. Remmert, Bond Lifestyle, James Bond Lifestyle, did a few articles, some wonderful pictures. This is where I received these pictures from. I'm going to link his article down below because it's a phenomenal read and it goes into so much more detail than I ever could. And on top of that, Pierre Jean is an author who, again, investigates watches, and he was the original impetus of discovery of this. So I want to give credit where credit's due. People came before me. I'm just giving this a little bit of space on my YouTube because I have fallen in love with the Tissot PR516. Specifically saying it's the Tissot PR516 Visodate, as in visible date, automatic watch. Let's take a look at this watch first of all. Now here are some pictures right off the bat. That's Bond in a boat chase. And it's interesting because there's been a lot of websites and blogs that have, referenced Remmert. Again, this picture comes directly from him, but you see this watch and you see that it's not a Rolex. It is not a Rolex. Here's another grouping of pictures right here. And in each one of these pictures, you see Bond, some of the stuff, some of the items from the movie itself, some of them promotional. You see this Tissot watch. And it just looks fantastic even in the pictures. And then if you take a look at some promotional shots and you really get up close, you start to see things in even more detail. So of course, people did lots of research. They looked at these pictures and they said, you know, this Tissot PR516 is what he's wearing. It's shocking because it's something that we haven't talked about. I mean, we do an inordinate, I would say, amount of discussion on Omega watches and every little nuance and changes and variation. We talk about the Seikos of Roger Moore. We've talked about that, right? We've talked about that era. We talked about the Rolexes. But now, as I take off my Rolex, I've got to show you something. This is my, look at that color. This is my personal Tissot PR516 Visodate, the correct one from the movie. Absolutely beautiful. The only difference is the band itself is a Tissot band. It is a Tissot band, but the one that you see Roger Moore wear, and therefore in the movie, is a different type of band. It's like an oyster stainless steel bracelet, and I am hunting for that Tissot brand and band, and I will find it. But let's uncover this a little bit more, because I want to talk about why I've gravitated to this and a little bit more about the mystery, because here's the reality. People don't know why this watch shows up. It's a mystery. I told you it's a mystery. It's a mystery in the sense that we don't know if this was a change of watches during the film, if they went from Rolex and Pulsar to this on purpose, or was it an accident? And that is what people are starting to think, that the Tissot that you see here is something that Roger Moore probably wore himself. He chose this as his personal watch, and maybe there was a break in filming or a new day in filming, and what happened? Well, Roger Moore in the scenes continued to wear his watch, probably his personal watch. This wasn't something where they thought, oh, wouldn't it be fun in this scene to change out watches or give him a different variety or different watch. This was more than likely the very next day, and instead of putting on the Rolex, he put on the Tissot. Now that's one theory. That's one theory. The second theory is that Bond, Roger Moore in this case, receives the Tissot PR516 before he's given the Seiko. And they filmed it as such. The filming of the boat chase scene, the filming of the airport scene, Bond, Roger Moore, was wearing this watch. So it was before Q, in the filming continuum, if you will, gave him the 5513. So many people feel this is probably an accident more than anything else, but what an incredible accident. Now, I will tell you, when this was first discovered, not even too many years ago, and it got a little bit of notoriety, people started to look for these, so they became extremely rare. But I still don't know if they were and are appreciated. So what did I do? Well, I just got fixated on it. I was fixated on the story itself, the way it wears, the way it looks. You can see it catching the light here, and the way it feels. It is so incredibly light. It doesn't weigh like a Rolex. It doesn't weigh like an Omega big Planet Ocean watch. It weighs like a very comfortable watch. And I became obsessed and wanted one. Well, I couldn't find a good example. So who did I call on? Yeah, you probably know him, James Lamden. James Lamden is the owner of Analog Shift. Analog Shift is a company and group that goes out there and, like Indiana Jones, they curate. They hunt down antiquities, usually of the watch variety. And, well, this came as a surprise. So let me tell you this story. I had James Lamden and his lovely fiancee over to our house. He and his staff were basically doing an interview of me to talk about my collection and to do a film that comes out about my collection, about my personality, etc., which was a lot of fun. But we invited him and his fiancee Sabrina to stay over and spend a little extra time with us, and they did. And towards the very end, towards the very end, James said, "Hey, I've got something for you." And he opened up a case and he took out this watch, the watch that I'm now wearing. What I loved about him when he took this out is this was a watch that he had to madly curate. He couldn't find a good bezel, the Bakelite on it. He couldn't find the right bracelet. He had to basically find components and pull it together. In that, he had to get parts and pieces from different watches, different PR 516 Tissot's. And so he wound up creating, I'm doing that to get the color because I love the dial, two watches, two watches. And he put them before me and he said, "David, you pick, choose." And I looked at them at first and I said, "Aren't they the same? I mean, yeah, one has a bracelet, one doesn't, but aren't they basically the same?" And he said, "No." He said, "The mystery continues because not only do we not know if it was Roger Moore's personal watch, if it was done on purpose to have variety in there, or what it was, but we don't know exactly the PR 516 face. We know it was this blue-green. We know that the hands and the dials are the same, but you have these open nail lugs here, these sort of open lugs. And the one that looks like it's screen used, for example, has these little plug lugs on it. This one doesn't. The other thing is they actually have different writings on them, different things that they're saying. You can see it here in close up. And so they are different watches. So I chose this one because I loved the dial. I love the look. It looks like the one from the movie. And I want to be able to look down on this and not only solve mysteries, but also wear something as close as I can to what my hero, Roger Moore, James Bond, wore in Live and Let Die during those scenes. So what did James do? Did he take back this watch and put it up for sale? No. Did he take this watch and try to sell me this watch? No. He took these two watches and he gave me this one. And he went over to my wife and said, Danielle, would you like a watch? And she was given this watch. So now I have a his and her. Danielle has this watch to wear with a great orange band that she loves. And I've got this that, let me tell you folks, I have been wearing ad nauseum. This has become, just like my Quantum of Solace, my go-to. And I have to talk about this because as watch fans, if you're watching this and you're a watch fan, I love a good story. I mean, you buy Omegas and Rolexes not just for the product itself, but the heritage and the story. And I love the story of how this is just as much as the Rolex or the Hamilton watch, the Pulsar. This is a Bond watch. You could deny it. You could say, oh, we don't talk about it. It's not really a Bond. No, it's a Bond watch. James Bond wore it on film. And you've all watched it a million times and didn't quite know about it. So my point in this watch is that it's become my go-to. I brought with me to Switzerland this watch, wore it on the plane. I brought my Quantum of Solace Omega watch, and I brought, my friend has a Univex watch as well. I wore the Univex a couple of times hiking because I really wanted to test the grit of it. I wore probably twice the Omega Quantum of Solace because I love that. It's my go-to. What I wound up picking up every day, though, was the Tissot. This one from Live and Let Die. I fell in love with it. The blues, the greens, the look of it, the lightweightedness of it, and the unique story behind it. That all came together, and that's why I am so, so, so grateful to James Lamden for making this dream come true. I became sort of obsessed with this watch, still am, now that I have it in hand. He went out, he curated, he hunted, he found, he improved, he restored, and now I'm wearing a watch that is a perfect, perfect representation of this watch, of the watch that you've seen in all these pictures and all these articles. And to me, that's an amazing James Bond mystery that we didn't even know about. Now, the Tissot PR 516 watch from the time of the film, that comes in multiple variations. I mean, obviously the Visa date is the one from the film. It's the one that's on my wrist. But they have a day date. They have an alarm one. They have chronographs, 2 and 3 meters. They have a regatta chronograph. They have a 36 millimeter steel case. So there's a lot of variety that was out there. And that's one of the things that I wanted to illustrate to you is this is a little bit of a needle in haystack moment. I mean, finding the right one and then earning that appreciation here in 2025 from a 1971 film is a little bit of the miracle of our collecting. So it's about this time in any one of my videos where many of you start going, ooh, me like. I want my own Tissot PR516. Ah, but a warning. Now a warning? Yes, now a warning. You have to understand that there are new editions of the PR516, the Tissot one. But if you're wanting the one from the film, it ain't that. And I don't understand why Tissot just didn't recreate the look and the feel of this watch. I think it would have been such a home run. But instead, they've released another version, if you will, of the PR516 from Tissot, and it just doesn't really smack of this one. It doesn't have that impact moment, that Roger Moore type 70s feel that you want to capture in any of these. So just beware of that. Just be warned and do the appropriate research. Or you could use the link below and ask Analog Shift, hey, I saw David Zaritsky's video on the Tissot from Live and Let Die. How do I get me one? How do I find one? And you know, if anybody can do it, James Lamden and his group over at Analog Shift can. I bet you they can, because they did for me. And I love this watch. Like I said, it's my go-to. So there you go. Just wanted to kind of cover it. Try to decipher the mystery of the Tissot watch used in Live and Let Die. Hope that helps. And of course, this has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. Tell me the watches you like below. We'll see you all real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching the Bond Experience. If you like what you saw, why don't you subscribe to the channel by clicking this button right here. We'll keep you up on everything new that's happening in the world of Bond. And speaking of something new, here's something new just for you because we know you so well. Talk to you soon.